Good afternoon, everybody. It's The Laws That Matter. I'm Carissa Kranz. We have a jam-packed, exciting show today. We have some great guests. We have Connie Spence, the co-founder of the Vegan Justice League, who's going to be starting with us at the top of the hour. Then we're going to have Ken Spector with Happy Cow. After that, we are going to have a special guest from a newly certified BeVeg vegan product that just joined the global network. And along with all of that, we're going to also have Courtney Garza join us from VegWorld Magazine. She's an editor-in-chief, and she's going to be here to help us break down VegWorld news, which is right now mainstream news, because as COVID takes center stage and wet markets take center stage and slaughterhouses take center stage, guess what? CNN, Fox News, Bill Maher, Zakaria Fareed, I'm messing up his name. You all saw the segment. I need to share it to my Facebook. Amazing. He's channeling Jane Unchained. But let's start with a major injustice. As the co-founder of Vegan Justice League, Connie Spence. Hi, Connie.
Hey there. How are you?
A vegan here, Connie. Nice to meet you, by the way. I've not met you. We've spoken on the phone. Major injustice, a vegan gets COVID, the meat virus. So unfair, like right out of a wet market. It's like secondhand meat. It's like secondhand smoking. It's an airborne virus. It's gone viral, and we're walking around with masks. We're getting sick, and we're not even participating in what gave birth to this virus, this pandemic, and God knows, historic pandemics and future pandemics. So Connie, you're the first person I'm talking to that's actually had this virus. So how do you feel? What's it been like? Let us know.
I mean, the first part is I'm in complete shock that I got it. I mean, the amount that the restrictions have been placed on Los Angeles and the rest of the world, our lives have been held hostage by this in every way. Regardless if you get sick or not, your life is being held hostage from working. Either your work life has changed or you've lost your job, or free time has changed. Everything's changed. And in Los Angeles, they've been pretty strict. Where I'm at, they had us wearing masks since the beginning of April. It was mandatory in Glendale, which is an offset of Los Angeles. And I can't believe it. Like, I started experiencing symptoms mid-April after I'd been wearing a mask.
Let's just back up. You've been on lockdown. How the heck did you get COVID? I mean, last I spoke to you, you weren't even going out. So how did that happen?
There's only two ways that I could have, which both ways mean that we still don't know a whole lot about this virus. One way would have been that the last time I hung out with people was, in the end of or mid-March, actually. So if that's the case, then it incubated for a month, which people say it can't do. Wow. But that was the last time with people unmasked.
So what were the initial symptoms that you got?
Wasn't it. The only places I went to were
but like, how did you know?
The very first symptom was gastrointestinal.
Okay. All right.
Well, I did it. I was in denial. I couldn't believe it. Go ahead.
No, I think there's a delay on the sound. That's why. You were in denial is what you said. Yeah. So did you get tested?
Right.
Like, the way? How'd you get, what did you, tell us all about it.
Yeah, I got tested actually a week and a half after the symptoms started, maybe 2 weeks after they started. So when they first started, they were gastrointestinal. And so as a vegan, I'm not used to having gastrointestinal issues. I mean, I could go many years and my stomach never really gets upset, things like that, unless, you ingest something accidentally. And gastrointestinal situation for 2 days was a big deal for me. And I was like, wow, this is weird. I wonder what is going on. But I still was in denial. It was like, there's no way, because the only places I've been to is a grocery store with a mask, which means it could have come from a surface or with delivery.
So you got this at the grocery store. That's where you think you got it.
Either at a grocery store or with food delivery. So with a surface. Yeah.
So, okay, so if anyone's just joining us, I see some new people coming on, logging in to watch. This is Connie Bench, she's with the Vegan Justice League, co-founder. Major injustice here. She gets coronavirus. Thank God she's okay and here to talk about it and is feeling better. But she was on lockdown like everyone else, and she's saying she got it in one of two ways. One, at the grocery store, or two, from a food delivery service. So, Connie, how do you feel now, today?
So the problem is that 3 weeks later, there's a residual symptoms. And so I was only tested on May 1st. So that was last week, basically like a little over a week ago. And so, you know, I was tested, the positive result came back about 15 hours later. The doctors on the phone kind of tell you what to expect and what to do, but I still don't think they really understand it because yes, my bulk of my major symptoms were, you know, in the duration of the 2 weeks, but the residual effects are still happening. So it's very tricky. It fools you into thinking you're getting better. And so I'll have 2 days where I feel great. And then I'll have a setback where I feel horrible. I'll get like a migraine. I'll get overheated, a low fever, and then a tremendous amount of body aches. And then I'll have 3 days. I feel great. And I'm like, okay, I'm in the clear. And then again, another setback. So my last setback was 2 nights ago. And I was like, I can't believe I'm still dealing with this right now.
Wow. Did it attack your lungs, like people say? Did you feel the respiratory side of it, or was it mostly gastrointestinal and then all these other symptoms that you're talking about?
A lot of strange symptoms. The respiratory thing is what I think is the marker between who gets like into the hospital versus who doesn't. Because while the fevers and the body aches debilitated me and the fatigue debilitated me, there were some scary nights where I was like, am I going to wake up? Because it was just so much sweating and so bad. But
wow, is that bad?
I never felt like I couldn't breathe. So I feel like my immune system, like at the very least, kept it away from becoming a bad respiratory problem. So I experienced coughing and sneezing for about 2 days, and I lost my complete sense of taste and smell. That was a huge indicator. I still don't have my full sense of taste and smell back. But to your point, I think the respiratory part, what I've told people is this virus, it feels like a militia that's traveling to different parts of your body, and it exposes a really bad symptom one day in your head. And then 2 days you feel great. And then it's like, okay, well, we couldn't defeat her head, so let's go to a different part of her body. So it was just like constantly traveling. So I don't really feel like it really took down my respiratory, you know, with the breathing stuff. But, you know.
Was it like a flu? Is it like, or is it different than a flu?
It's just, you know, a fever you could say is like the flu, body aches, but the body aches felt different to me. The body aches of a flu feel like you just worked out a lot and your body is aching like you're sore. The body aches on this on certain days felt like I was in a fight the day before where people like beat me up with a bat or kicked me. It was like a very painful body ache that felt like, I don't know, like your muscles were bruised and your bones were hurting from getting like, you know, beat up. So and then the waves of it, it just doesn't match the flu. It would be like a cold is similar to a flu. I mean, there are certain things that are, but it's much more severe. The waves of it for me, and I've heard a lot of people experience this, is what's the scariest thing, is because you're just constantly, it's like one day someone's reaching out to me and they're like, how are you? I'm so worried. And I'm like, I feel great. And then they think, okay, great, she's getting better. And then I'll have that setback, and then everyone has to start worrying again, and even myself. And so that's my biggest issue right now.
So I just want to put up one of the comments that someone wrote, Sohar Kohavi. I don't know if you're still with us commenting and watching, but apparently another vegan here, I assume, if they're watching Jane Unchained, also got coronavirus and had it mess with the head. So is this a common symptom?
I think it is. I mean, the types of headaches that I had 2 nights ago, it was like a migraine. I used to get migraines 20 years ago. I haven't had them since. So yeah, it's definitely very different, you know, as I mentioned, than the flu, just because when it goes to a part of your body, it's like really coming at you hard. And I think that if I were to say anything to people is this is way more contagious than you think. If you live in a city that's not an epicenter, I don't believe you actually had full exposure to COVID. And so if you don't know someone right now, I mean, I would just be surprised that you don't know someone in the future. So you have to remain really careful. You do not want to feel this way. I didn't die. I didn't go to the hospital, but nobody wants to go through the days of suffering.
And you had to go through this alone too, right? I mean, no one could come and help you. And you said you had respirations. You thought it wasn't that you couldn't breathe, but it was so bad that you didn't know if you'd wake up, and you had to do this alone. So that's pretty cool.
That's why I was probably in denial a bit longer about having it. My brother was on the phone with me. He's like, why don't you just go check for peace of mind? And it wasn't until I got the crazy bloodshot eyes, which I tell you when I had them, is different than any red eyes you've ever had. It wasn't until I got that I was like, something's up, because this is completely not normal. And then the loss of sense of taste and smell. It is very irritating being a vegan, because I know my immune system is well. I don't have an underlying condition. We're in a situation right now where the industrialized food complex literally rules the world in a lot of ways. Right now, you see them dumping out milk, euthanizing pigs that aren't going to be eaten. You have them controlling the storyline where you have on one side, they're saying there's a meat shortage because restaurants aren't in business, and a dairy shortage because schools aren't in business. On the other side, you have them saying that that side said there's oversupply. On the other side, a grocery store is saying there's a shortage. They're all over the map. They're the worst group of, mega farmers and factory farmers, the worst group of people to be trusting right now. And I don't even participate in that. And I'm like having to deal with the repercussions of it.
Not fair, right? That's the injustice. Now you got to lobby not only for these bailouts not to happen, because everyone's getting bailed out now, meat and dairy, which I know you guys are on the front lines for. Vegan Justice League, this is Connie Spence, co-founder. She's on the front lines fighting against the bailouts for meat and dairy. And now the dairy industry is dumping milk, hundreds of thousands of gallons of it, and they're getting government bailouts. I know out of the $1 trillion stimulus package, I think a few billion is set aside for bailouts. And I just recently read that they're going in for more funds to be allocated towards it. So
there's been 3 bailouts for that industry since the pandemic started. They were included in the stimulus package, and they've had 3. And, they are using this entire situation like they do any economic condition that happens over the years as a way to profit. Our taxes are to pay for insurance policies that prepare them for these situations. So they are able to make insurance claims for situations like this. So when we bail them out, that bailout has to be a transaction that says, get that food to food bank. But they don't care. They're so arrogant that they don't even, they just like dump it out. They're like, you didn't set rules on what I need to do with the bailout. So I'm just going to use it as like, put these pigs, to death, and get them to those who need it.
It's horrific.
It is such a horrible playbook, and politicians need to start being aware of that. There's a delineation between a small farmer and a factory farmer with investors, because they're doing 2 totally different things, and we need to stop.
Oh yeah, this factory farming needs to end. I mean, this really needs to end. And I'm so glad that mainstream media is actually starting to cover this stuff. Like, speaking of which, first of all, Connie, I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you're on the tail end of this. I know you're still going through waves of not feeling well. I mean, I can't even imagine what the coronavirus is like, but I have other people here. And if you feel well enough, you're welcome to stay. I didn't know how you were going to feel today, so I wanted to start with you at the top. If you needed to go lay down, give you the opportunity to go, rest. So you're welcome to stay. You're very knowledgeable on all the topics we're going to discuss. So I'd love it if you stayed. I'm going to add Courtney Garza. She's editor-in-chief with VegWorld Magazine, and I want her to be a part of our conversation to help us break down all these topics of world news that we're talking about. Connie and Courtney, have you met? You can meet. There you go.
Hi. No, I haven't. Oops, sorry. My face
Yeah.
is right there. Hi. No, I haven't, but it's great to meet you. Wish you were definitely in better health, but you're getting there, so that's what counts.
I believe. Yeah, thank you so much.
Courtney,
Yeah, no, nice to meet you.
Have you covered anything with VegWorld Magazine with vegans getting coronavirus? I think it's a great topic. We should cover it. It's an unfair virus.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's like you said, it's total injustice because obviously none of this was your fault. As a vegan diet, it is really interesting to get. There's been a lot of talk. We haven't covered it from your perspective or from a vegan perspective giving it, but there's been a lot of talk that you can't get it as a vegan, which obviously you're proving that is not something, that's 100% true. Obviously, a vegan diet is very preventative. I imagine, there's everything that kind of pushes against it since you're not actually ingesting meat. But like you said, this pandemic is crazy. You probably got it from just being at the grocery store, which again is not your fault. You're just trying to live your life. And I think that's something that our readers need to know, is that, yes, take all the precautions, wear the masks, eat healthy, stay away from meat as much as possible. But this is something that is so unprecedented with this virus. You just don't know. I'd love to. I mean, if you, after this call, we can schedule an email and a phone call to interview you to kind of speak more on that and your work.
And it looks like so we have some comments here. Zohar Kohavi, I don't know you personally, but it seems like another vegan got coronavirus. I think this would be an interesting story to talk about. He's commenting saying, I agree. These are terrible businesses. I agree. F meat, dairy, and eggs. We'll keep it properly rated. But yeah, and Tina Walker is saying it's in the air too, which is true. It's in the air. I mean, in a way, okay, so as a lawyer here, let's get into the legal side of this a little bit. We have smoke-free laws, right? We have the Clean Air Act. Clean air is a fundamental right. The Environmental Protection Act requires that we have a right to clean air. And that's why businesses don't allow smoking, because why should my lungs get raped because you want to have a cigarette? Well, why is this different? I mean, this is a meat virus. This is secondhand meat that is affecting the co-founder of the Vegan Justice League. I mean, not fair. And I'm sure a lot of other vegans too. I mean, and she picked up the grocery store and she wasn't there to buy the meat. Where, by the way, all the meat and slaughterhouse workers are also getting sick in the thousands and dying because they've been stripped of their own civil rights by being forced to work, because now slaughterhouses are considered critical infrastructure, and the workers are now considered essential and are forced to go to work because they have no other way to make money. They cannot collect on unemployment, and they're forced to work so people can eat meat. So now, not only is the meat industry killing the animals, they're killing their workers too. And as a byproduct of all that, vegans who do not participate in any of this are getting sick. I mean, this is a serious problem. These are some legal implications that is going to require some major lobby. I mean, we have a great team up here right now. We have a lawyer, we have a lobbyist, and we have a journalist. I mean, we can make a difference.
Absolutely.
Okay. I want to talk about some of the things that, Courtney, you've been covering in VegWorld Magazine. And one of them, if those of you who have been paying attention to the news or not, wet markets, we all know the wet market in Wuhan, China is the suspected beginning of the coronavirus. Though there are now these conspiracy theories that it was born out of a lab and manufactured, I think that's an escape route so people can still enjoy their meat. So we're not going to go down that route for this show. We're sticking to the truth, which the World Health Organization is saying is the truth and has debunked all the lab theories, but there's still conspiracy theories floating on the internet about it. And nonetheless, even if it was in a lab, that's still the exploitation of animals. And let's not forget that all the historic pandemics, most of them at least, if not all are from animal origin and the exploitation of animals for meat. So even if it's from a lab, it's still exploiting an animal. And as we take away their natural habitat, whether it's wildlife or farmed animals or clearing wildlife in the Amazon, so farmed animals can graze so you can have the meat, you're forcing the wild animals, whether it's a wet market or not, to come into the area of the Amazon, for example, where you're clearing the lands in the Amazon for the cows to graze. The wild animals are going to cross over there. And guess what? That's factory farming. And guess what? You're going to get sick. I mean, this is a time for us to wake up as a world. This is a time for us to take a step back. And this is a time for us to change our ways. So with that being said, I really hope we change our ways. I filed a petition for rulemaking in New York, which is a legal petition. It's not just one of the ones that, we see all these petitions floating on the internet, getting signatures, don't really know what happens with a lot of those petitions, and frankly, don't even know what's going to happen with my petition because politicians need to pay attention no matter what. But this is the first time that our petitions and our cause is really getting mainstream attention. Last week on our show, we went live for a protest, the Assembly bill to end the wet markets in New York. And I guess that's my point. We have thousands of these wet markets in America, just like Wuhan, China. And
it's crazy.
People don't know that. When I first did the thing in New York, my friends who are in journalism, who run like CBS News, had no idea. And they're like, I did a lot of media before this, and I don't want to say names, but I'm telling you, they didn't know. And when I told them, they were like, "Oh, you mean they're in Chinatown, right?" And no, they're in all 5 boroughs. So It's a real problem. So I filed a petition for rulemaking on behalf of New York residents based on a Senate bill that is proposed. And that Senate bill basically says that if you get 100 or more New York resident signatures, then there is a required agency response. If you don't have 100 or more New York resident signatures, you can still file a petition for rulemaking, but there's not a required response. So we did it based on the proposed bill in hopes that, I think I got to mute someone. I'm hearing some background. Is that, yeah. So we did it based on a proposed bill and we followed that bill to the T. And the bill basically says that the agency must respond because we're supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. If, because it's a proposed bill, so they don't really have to do anything. But, Connie, you're in the lobbying. This is a bill that should get pushed and passed because this is a bill that has been sitting in the Senate since 2017. And if this bill is passed or it would require an agency response, then residents without lawyers can get action from a petition with 100 signatures or more. So this is something important in New York to work on after this virus, just that legal technicality alone. But if they decide to honor it, because it's a popular decision to close wet markets. The World Health Organization has been petitioned by PETA, has been petitioned by both aisles of Congress. It's popular to close them. I don't know why they're still open, but they're still open. But as of last week, there's been an assembly bill that's been introduced, which is great news. It seems like on both sides of the coast, in California and in New York, Linda Rosenthal has been spearheading an opportunity and a project to try to end these wet markets in the United States. PCRM, the Physicians Committee of Responsible Medicine, also did a federal petition for rulemaking against the Surgeon General. And the petition for rulemakings are good. It's different than legislation, and we have to hit it at all angles, and that's also important. So what everyone's doing is not duplicative. It's all different, and it's all important. So if my petition for rulemaking was honored, what that would do would be an immediate shutdown for 90 days while a rule was drafted, amended, and adopted, or while legislation was being drafted and immediately pushed, or while litigation could be brought. Possibly. I'm not really sure on what grounds litigation could be brought, but it gives time. And then after the 90 days, then there can be an amendment for an additional 60 days. And at least you can end it kind of like an executive order would as an immediate thing while the law changes to catch up to what the emergency, because it's an emergency petition for rulemaking for immediate adoption, would put into place overnight. So far, it's still ignored. But thank you, Courtney. You guys did an article in VegWorld News about that, and you said I didn't read the comments, but you said it had good engagement.
It was amazing. Yeah, people, because like I just said, people had no idea. I even went on a podcast last week, and I shared your story that we wrote, and the host herself was just just flabbergasted at the fact that we have wet markets in America, and not just in one state, but they're all over. There are tons, and this is something that, obviously we need to work towards shutting them all down across the world, but we need to focus now on our states and making sure that we're wiping those clean, or doing the most we can, signing your petition or spreading the word about your petition, or starting more petitions to get them closed, and just to raise awareness, because that's the biggest thing. Is if people don't know, then what are they going to do about it? But once they do, they're going to get angry. They're going to get very upset that this is close to home.
Yeah, Connie, are you guys doing anything with the wet markets, or you focus more on the bailouts?
So we just actually sent a letter to Congress yesterday. Anybody would want to do this, basically sending our federal legislation to your specific House rep. You go to www.afa.org/letter, and we walk you through the steps of finding your rep and just sending a templatized letter to them. Our letter is trying to push our legislation, the At-Risk Farmer and Rancher Diversification Act, and push it from being an act that was on its own to being in a future relief package. Because as you know, Big Ag is whining for more bailouts on top of bailouts. And so there is likely going to be a relief package. And so the idea that we want is to have our taxes be used to transition farmers who are at risk of failing into plant-based or plant-based adjacent farming. And so that is what we're working on right now at a federal level.
That's what bailouts should be, though. That's what they should be. They should be bailouts to help them transition, not to bail them out so they can keep doing what they're doing when there's not even a demand for it, and it's causing global pandemics. I mean, wake up.
Yep. You're destroying the environment to just dump millions of gallons of estrogenic milk into the ground. I mean, I find one guy said that it was great because he used the milk to water corn he was growing. And I was thinking, I would never want to eat corn that is in a cesspool of old milk. That is just so weird to me. And it's that's what I'm saying. The food system is so
disgusting. I didn't know that.
The food system, there's little oversight when it comes to Big Ag. But to your point about wet markets specifically, that's a state. Currently, we're doing that in New York. I'm going to be on a call tomorrow with some local New York lobbying groups. BFAR is leading it, Voters for Animal Rights. They do a lot of great local stuff. I'm on a call tomorrow to just ideate with them. We encourage what we call DIY lobbying, so do-it-yourself lobbying, to where you join together in a way that drives those types of things at a state level. But on our end, we are really having to focus on federal type bills because, as we feel we need to centralize and lobbying members, because lobbyists cost money. It's at the state level, at the federal level. They create relationships, professional relationships with politicians and politicians' staff. They start telling this narrative so that, here's the deal, with us, with your petition, with our letter, not the politicians on their desk, they have literally, without us, they have a choice of siding with Big Ag because Big Ag stuff is on their desk, or doing nothing, and they're not going to do nothing. So what we need is to give them a choice. We need to give them another storyline that says, hey, this is
right. And I think the other storyline, I mean, so a lot of people attack this from the animal rights perspective, and that doesn't resonate with everybody. So I think the other storyline right now, especially with COVID, is how inefficient the meat supply and the meat animal agriculture factory farming operation is. It's inefficient, and it's harming the environment. And let's not forget what's happening now with the workers. Look at this. Poultry workers denied bathroom breaks. They're wearing diapers. Look at this. I had to wear Pampers, the cruel reality the people who bring you cheap chicken allegedly endure. So now this is not only an issue of, animal rights and the environment. This is an issue of human rights and civil rights. These workers have no choice. They don't want to go to work. They don't want to get sick. They don't want to put their families at risk to go get coronavirus, because these are the biggest hot spots in the United States, the meat packing plants, these slaughterhouses, where everyone's getting sick and dying. Over 115 meat packing plants, slaughterhouses, call it what it is, have been forced to close. So this is a real problem. So now let's address one of the solutions. Courtney, why don't you tell us about this Meatless May? So Meatless Mondays has turned into Meatless May and the vegan movement, and how this is really not only for the animals, this is for the workers too. I read this article. This is a protest against how horrific the workers are being treated. So tell us about that. And I know you did an interview and know in that group. I only read the article. So
no, it's really great. So LULAC, which is the acronym for the League of United Latin American Citizens, really are the ones that started this. So they basically rallied around, boycotting meat on Mondays, obviously, which is a huge campaign that's been going on for years, Meatless Mondays, but specifically in May. Obviously, they want you to continue after May, but it's huge because this is for more than just animals. It's like you said, it's for the workers. This has gotten to the point where it's human rights. This is wrong to be forcing. The government is forcing these workers to go to work. I mean, they're getting sick. They're not in good health conditions. They're not even happy conditions at all.
Diapers. They're not allowed to take bathroom breaks.
It's atrocious.
Come on, if you don't care about the animals and you don't care about the environment, at least care about human rights.
Right.
This is, and not only is it a human rights problem about the way the workers are treated. I was looking at some other headlines I'll put up here. This is the USDA workers are now getting sick. They've now started high-speed slaughter where they've taken the USDA workers off the assembly line. So the meat can't even be inspected, and there's no regulation of how many animals are murdered per hour. And now USDA inspectors are dying of the coronavirus, by the way. They're getting sick. So they have fewer USDA inspectors. They're not on the assembly line inspecting like they should during the slaughtering. The workers on the assembly line are losing limbs and eyeballs and getting injured on the job, and they have no protection with lawsuits. And then the way the high-speed slaughter is working now means that in your meat, let me show you this article. New Trump rule may allow for feces, sex organs, toenails, unwanted hair into your pork product. Okay? That is our slaughterhouses. That is factory farming. So even if you like your meat, you've got to stop supporting it. You've got to stop eating it, because these workers are now being forced to wear diapers. The USDA inspectors have literally been taken off the assembly line and put at the end of the line. So they could be a little bit more protected than the undocumented immigrants, or those that are of another class or another race, that in a socioeconomic status, who can't afford not to show up to work. So they're either showing up to work, putting their lives on the line, or they're going home from work, putting their family's lives on the line, both of which are not fair. And then your life is on the line too if you're eating it. There are salmonella and Ebola outbreaks all the time, and that is because there is feces in your food. 100%, there was a study, 100% of beef tested had fecal matter in it. So unless we transition to a plant-based world, or we transition to lab-grown meat, which would be a clean meat and less cruel, that we're going to have pandemics. We're going to have spillover of animals, because we're cruel to these animals. We're forcing them into cramped. Look at this, cramped. Look at these pigs. Look at these pigs. This is on their way to slaughter. They can't even breathe. Look at these chickens. It's just horrible. It's just what we're doing. Oh, and mind you, okay, I saw this threw me through a loop. The USDA bought dog and cat meat from China wet markets with our tax money. There's a proposed law, Delilah's Law, to stop this.
Wow.
Experiments in wet markets in China, where they are taking kittens and they're killing kittens, burning them, boiling them alive. They're taking the cats, and then they're making cat meat to feed to other cats to see if cannibal cat studies, if the cats will eat the other cats. this is cannibalism. This is gross. This is what we have resorted to. I don't know what to do, except I hope that people who are non-vegans start watching this and start waking up, because we're going to kill our planet. We're going to kill ourselves. We're going to kill each other. We're going to kill the animals, and we're not going to have a planet Earth left.
I mean, at the end of the day, the moral of the story is you can't trust people who have no feelings about making money off of killing baby animals and their suffering. They will oppress people, the planet, every single one of us, put us in a pandemic, put us in a lockdown. We are all collateral damage to their mega billions of dollars. It's like he who feeds the world is also he who controls the world. He who holds food from us, same thing. So they're using this time and every single aspect of it as a profiteering. You watch after all of this and all those money losses you see across the board, every one of those companies after 2020 will have profited, because every loss they have, our bailouts go even further than that. Watch every single one of these companies, whether it's Tyson, JBS, Smithfield, are all going to show profits after this year, and it's going to be because of our taxes. So the consumer is actually speaking. To your point, consumers are seeing this. The thing is our governments and world governments are still like completely in cahoots with keeping this industry going, just like that point of the executive order. Trump is
clear they're in cahoots, right? The executive order. I mean, that executive order says it all. The ACLU needs to get involved now. I mean, this is a civil rights problem, and because of that executive order, now what's happened is they have literally thrown out every lawsuit. So an injured worker can no longer bring a workers' comp claim for injury or a wrongful death claim, because what the Trump administration has done through this executive order has stripped them of their rights, and any case will be thrown out on summary judgment. That means
they don't have rights anyway, because
the
majority are HQA workers, which are not citizens. That's why they do that. They purposely put undocumented people who H2A is a way to get some documentation, but they have no rights. And in fact, most people don't realize this, but if you are an undocumented worker and you have a child, you can actually put them into child labor under the agriculture system, and it's not illegal. Child labor laws are only for citizens. And so this system is super corrupt, and they do this purposely to profit more. You profit about 30% more by not paying a citizen's wage. And by the way, they're not going to whistleblow, because if they whistleblow, they're sent back home. And so they're dangling critical things over their head all the time to make it completely allow, someone like Trump to do an executive order without having the repercussions.
It's so unfair. And I just want to point out, because I don't know if anyone's been with us from the beginning, but in the beginning of the show, at the top of the hour, Connie Spence, she's the one in the middle. We need to have names up on the screen somehow. We have Connie Spence in the middle. We have Courtney Garza on the right. Connie is the co-founder of the Vegan Justice League, and she's speaking really well with a really clear head right now, and she actually has coronavirus. She must be having a very good day. And you look beautiful, look like you have lipstick on. And then Courtney's editor-in-chief of VegWorld Magazine, helping us break down this is world news. And the hour's going really fast. So I want to move on to the next topic, because we have other guests with us. You're welcome to stay. But I have Ken Spector here with Happy Cow. And let me fix that banner so we could see Ken here. There you go. Let's talk about reopening the world, right? The world is reopening right now, and it's a slow evolution on what that means. Some states aren't open, some states are partly open. I'm in Palm Beach County right now. Palm Beach just opened on Monday, but Miami-Dade County is still not open. A lot of businesses are suffering. Ken, of Happy Cow.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What's going on with vegan businesses and vegan restaurants, and what's Happy Cow doing about it? So give us an update.
Vegan restaurants are, in my opinion, and what I've seen, what I've heard, are suffering more than the general restaurant population. Restaurants are really hurting right now in general. In fact, I read from an economic study that if COVID goes on for 4 months, as far as the restaurant closures and whatnot, 70% of restaurants not just vegan restaurants, but restaurants in general may go out of business. So vegan restaurants have been hurt. All restaurants have been hurt. I've been supporting as many vegan restaurants as I have. And whenever I go to these vegan restaurants, I try to talk to them about what is going on with their vegan restaurant. And unfortunately, the news is not terrific. It's very, very difficult right now for all restaurants.
What can we expect though? I mean, as things reopen, are these restaurants going to reopen? I mean, or is this a death sentence for a lot of vegan businesses? I mean, be honest. Yes. What is it that we can expect? And let's have a solution. Not only what's honest, but what can we do?
We just don't know. I mean, right now, we were looking at last year's results as far as how many vegan restaurants had closed last April and this year. And believe it or not, more vegan restaurants closed last April than this April.
Oh,
but
well,
that sounds like great news. But at the same time, a lot of restaurants just don't know themselves. If they don't report the news to Happy Cow, it's very difficult right now. So many people are on quarantine at their homes and we have, 450 ambassadors around the world at Happy Cow helping us out. And, if they can't leave their homes and go into the restaurants and the restaurants aren't reporting that they're closed, we don't know yet. The dust has not settled yet. So we'll find out sooner, hopefully sooner than later, what is going on exactly. But what
are Happy Cow doing? I mean, you're the global database here of vegan restaurants and a lot of vegan businesses. So I'm sure you have insight onto not only the restaurants, but the businesses. But I'm a vegan from birth here. So I've known about Happy Cow for a long time. And for me, when I think of Happy Cow, I think of restaurants.
Yes.
So what are you guys doing? Are you doing anything with your app to help these restaurants? Like, what are you doing?
Okay, couple of things. First of all, we paired up with an organization called Support and Feed. It's only currently available in New York, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles, whereby people can you can see the restaurants that are participating on Happy Cow, and you can donate money to the restaurants. You're basically buying meals. You're donating money to buy meals for first-line responders and various other people in need, senior citizens, hospitals. And so you buy meals for them.
Is that a global effort, or is this
No, not yet. They're working on it. They're expanding. They just expanded to Philadelphia. So we're supporting them. And the other thing we have on Happy Cow, we allow restaurants right now to sign up, claim your restaurant. By the way, if you haven't claimed your restaurant, if you're a restaurant out there, someone who's running a restaurant, please claim your restaurant on Happy Cow. And we have a notification section that you can just write in. You can write in a daily report of what's going on. And I really recommend this because I'll tell you this, I've been disappointed myself. I went over to a veggie grill in Westwood, California. I'm actually now in Virginia with my parents, but I was in Westwood, and I went over on my bicycle and I went to the restaurant and I wanted to support and feed, and I wanted to support Veggie Grill, and it was closed. That particular one was closed, that particular branch. Now, what we need is for restaurants to give us this information on an ongoing basis, weekly basis at least. What is going on with your restaurant? Are you open? What are you serving? What are your specials? What's happening
right.
in your restaurant?
So, and you may not know the answer to this, but, okay, so now vegan restaurants and businesses and all businesses, this is not a vegan problem, but we care about our vegan businesses here because in order to change the world, we need to support them.
Yeah.
But let's, now that it's reopening, there's still a problem because they've been without income now for a few months.
Yes.
And people have been without jobs now for a few months. The unemployment rate is through the roof. We don't know if people are going to want to still go to restaurants and patron them to eat. And even if they do, restaurants now have a minimum capacity requirement by the law. So, I mean, and I know you're not an economist here, but you are an expert in the industry of restaurants. Are we going to what is your expert opinion? Are we going to overcome this? Can we overcome this? Can restaurants continue to operate at minimal capacity?
Well,
I mean,
it's funny. I was not funny, but it was sort of interesting. I was in Brazil as COVID was really starting, and I had to come home early. I couldn't even speak at the event I was supposed to speak at. So I was in Brazil, and what I was telling the people, there are people that owned, had various products and whatnot. And I said, instead of focusing on what may happen and all the gloom and doom that may happen, I think it's really important to focus on what you can do now to avert what could happen. So we could all say, for the most part, I believe that restaurants will indeed close, but that doesn't help a restaurant. What really helps a restaurant is to try to come up with solutions. What can we do? Do we have a parking lot in the back? Can we make people feel more comfortable if we set up tables in the parking lot in the back? What can we do now to keep our restaurant open? Will restaurants close? Of course. But I think that with creativity, people can start to move into a direction that will make them feel more comfortable and make people who frequented restaurants more comfortable. I mean, this guy, Marty's V-Burger, which is a vegan restaurant in New York, he had this deal that I saw: buy 2 vegan burgers and we'll donate a vegan meal to first line responders. Fact is that he's using this time to actually generate interest in his restaurant. And people will always eat, and people love restaurants. People may not have as much expendable income, but if these restaurants can focus in on what they can do, posting, even if restaurants want to join our new, we have a new feature on Happy Cow whereby you can meet people on Happy Cow. It's a new social media function on Happy Cow, where it's a safe place for maybe restaurant owners to talk to other restaurant owners, or people to talk to other people. You can meet a future mate, or talk to a person maybe who seems interesting that you want to meet them in a vegan restaurant.
It's like a Facebook now that you guys are turning into, like a social platform.
Sort of. It's a safe place. It's an alternative to Facebook. It allows people to just meet other people, talk with other people. We're going to have forums where people that are into restaurants, people that are into spirituality, who are into dancing, can talk to each other as well. So
I think I'm into all 3 of those: spirituality, restaurants, and dancing.
Well, good. I hope you remember Happy Cow, and if not, you upload your picture and get started. But we're not,
I have the app. I do have it downloaded, but like I said, I've used it mostly for restaurants. So this is all interesting.
That's great. We're launching on the Android app this week. I've tested it, and Eric's tested it. But we're on the iPhone app. We're on the happycow.com. We're on the website as well. So you can actually join right now. You better join now to save your vanity name. But something else that we're doing. But yeah, focusing, to talk about what's going to happen and the gloom and doom that's going to happen, I just don't think it's helpful. And I've been talking to this restaurant, Hip City Veg in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, it's not helpful to talk about the gloom and doom, but what could be helpful is solutions. So if Happy Cow is doing, like you said, claim your profile, if companies can say something on the profile that can help garner support within the community and they have their own efforts, great. Or I don't know if you're running a special ad campaign, or if people can buy gift certificates for friends for restaurants, so that at least they're patronizing the restaurants and the businesses to stay in business while times are tough, to keep the cash flow going. All this is important.
About this, actually, exactly what you're saying. You can read our blog. Our latest blog post is all about this: what you can do to help the vegan restaurants. Buying gift certificates, or even posting pictures. Even if there are pictures on your phone of the restaurant before COVID, post them. If they look good, we want to get people to keep eating and keep spending. I mean, fact is this isn't going to last forever. I mean, the Spanish flu didn't last forever. So we're going to move on, and we're going to do our best to try to bring these restaurants back, and we're going to come up with creative ideas. And it's it's going to be even a cleaner experience at restaurants, and people are going to get fewer cases of the flu and other diseases as a result of this.
What about this comment that we see a great model for a small footprint vegan restaurant with takeout and catering? Are you guys doing anything with takeout and catering with Happy Cow to try to?
Yeah, exactly. What we're doing is Land of Kush. You're on Happy Cow. Thanks for writing in. Yes, so we're offering now. We just paired up with a bunch of delivery companies like DoorDash and Uber Eats and whatnot. So
okay.
So you can go on Happy Cow right now, and if you see that order button, if you want to support Happy Cow, we can certainly use the support just like the vegan restaurants can. Just buy through Happy Cow. Order your food through Happy Cow. That would be really helpful to us. And I mean, Land of Kush. What was the question of Land of Kush exactly? You put that up, and then
I'll put it back up.
Okay, a great model for a small footprint restaurant and takeout and catering. That's a great ad for Land of Kush, Baltimore, Maryland. I'll have to get up there. It's not too far from where I am right now. That's terrific. Great model. I don't know what that model is right now for Land of Kush, but if you want to type what that model is, we'd love to hear it. And you can we'd love to claim your restaurant and tell us what you're doing on your notifications on Happy Cow, and we'll take a look at that. Okay,
and Courtney, VegWorld Magazine here, Editor-in-Chief. What's going on in the news with businesses reopening, America reopening, the world reopening, your VegWorld Magazine? Any articles about this? Any comments? Oh, we can't hear you. I think you might be on mute.
There we go. All right, I'm back. So yes, we have had a couple articles. We've had tons of positive feedback. I get press releases every day about new, either new openings, I guess, mostly vegan restaurants. Obviously, that's the coverage that we pertain to. But it's great. Either they're opening with smaller menus or they're opening with, I even had a really interesting one. We posted it last week about a restaurant that wasn't fully vegan before, but they reopened as a fully vegan restaurant. And I thought that was really fascinating because they realize, more people should be eating less meat or just no meat, obviously, as we would like. And it's fascinating. So yes, I'm right there with you. We're always about sharing the positive news that's going on right now because there's enough negative in the world. And so that's definitely the stuff we want to highlight more. So I have faith, with resources like Happy Cow to really push that out and really educate people on how many restaurants are vegan or how many restaurants have vegan options. I know it saved my life in my travels to find those. And so I think that's huge to keep talking about it, keep encouraging anyone who owns a restaurant that's listening right now. You can make it through. Please don't feel like you need to close. Obviously, the financial situations are kind of crazy right now and up in the air, but I just really hope that there's more either fully vegan restaurants opening or just options, no matter what.
I also think that this is a time for, as other restaurants close, as other businesses close, if you're wanting to get into a vegan restaurant and into an industry and start it, you might be able to grab some really cheap leases because, to be honest, people are going to have a problem paying the rent. So if you have some capital and you want to start a business or get into a business, keep your eyes out because this is probably a great economic time to launch something and maybe have a vegan business that can succeed because existing businesses have a problem. They're going to be paying catch up, and it's going to be hard for them to catch up. We hope they do. We're rooting for them. We got to support the businesses like Happy Cow, who's trying to support the restaurants, and we've got to do what we can, buy gift certificates. But the reality is, it's going to be hard. They have people on payroll, they have rent, they have overhead, and it's going to be hard to catch up. New businesses that haven't had any overhead yet, that would like to start out and maybe get a lease that's a lower overhead and they have the capital in hand, this is a great opportunity to probably start a business.
By the way, we're really surprised that vegan restaurants have opened during this. In fact, about a week ago, I just added a new vegan restaurant in a beautiful location in the Hollywood area, a V-Tree. Opened.
We supported them. That's awesome.
V-Tree?
Yeah, it's Nick Cannon's new concept.
Hollywood, California, right?
2 weeks ago, a week ago. That's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I wonder what their background is, but I'd like to be put in touch with them actually and discuss, did they kind of capitalize on these economic times? Is it a coincidence? Were they planning to open anyway? I'd love to know their backstory.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone's been really excited about it. So the to-go orders and everything, it was a huge success with their grand opening. Awesome.
So, and Ken, on Happy Cow, do you guys do you just advertise businesses or do you also advertise vegan products?
As far as vegan products go, that's one of the ways we make money is we are able to reach our audience. We have over about 450,000 members on Happy Cow right now, but we have a big list and we're able to send e-blasts out to any region in the world from product owners. It's an e-blast sort of from us to our audience. So if companies want to help support Happy Cow, that's another way to help support us as well.
So I bring this up. So I bring this up because this is the article we covered earlier on the show, Meatless May. It's a campaign to make the month of May go meatless instead of Meatless Mondays to support the slaughterhouse workers that are being exploited. But as you see on the right side, this is VegWorld Magazine. They have a sponsor. It's jerky, y'all. So here's a product, right? Here's a product. And not only is that product here, but so is Brett Christoffel. Hi, let me fix this so we can get you up on screen a second. Make room. There you go. Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I can't wait to try it. So it's
wish I could move it through the screen. If I could just move it to you.
Yeah, I know. I wish. I know. We're pretty.
We'll get there soon.
I know. So people can see us, they can hear us, but we can't smell and we can't taste. Kind of like Connie here with she's got. Oh, there you are. She's from Vegan Justice League. Got coronavirus and she lost her sense of taste and smell. So you can eat it, and I'm not going to really taste or smell it today. But I just want to, because I want to get to you guys. I want to talk to you. So it's jerky oil, which I can't wait to try, is one of the newest products that have been certified vegan by BeVeg, which is my company. We certify vegan globally. We have a global trademark. And so Brett, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I want to talk to you we don't have enough time. I want to talk to you. I have so many questions. So tell us about It's Jerky Oil. Tell us about how you are supporting the cows with it and the sanctuary and all the good that you're doing. Let's start with that, because I have more questions.
Okay, great. Thank you. I started the company All Y'all's Foods as a result of I stopped eating animals. And then I realized that our largest export is essentially outside of cotton is beef. And rather than just complain about it, I decided to change it. So I started All Y'all's Foods and came out with It's Jerky All, which actually, has more protein, calcium, magnesium, and iron than beef. And the reason for that was to give an alternative to people like myself. I grew up eating jerky and it was normal, but I missed the flavors. And so now I've replicated flavor and other flavors for people to enjoy, and as a result, I'm working to educate people who are what I consider underinformed, as I was for many years, and show them that hey, you can avoid all these other issues just by going right to the plants. As a result, then that alleviates pressure on beef, and then supporting Rowdy Girl Sanctuary, we give a portion of every sale to them, and to support their efforts in taking care of the animals, as well as we're working with them. They have a rancher advocacy program, which allows them to empower people in animal agriculture to shift away and derive funds from non-animal engagements, which sometimes includes mushroom farms or wind power or solar power. So it's kind of attacking on all fronts to support using less animals to meet our needs.
Mm-hmm. And it's all about giving back and supporting. So your certification fee went to Jane Unchained News Network for the animals here and Voice for the Voiceless, so we can continue reporting on things that matter or laws that matter as well. So it's really important to, if you have a product and you think it's vegan, make it official. There's a link, I'll put it up. You can apply. It'll go straight to Jane Unchained News, and it helps make vegan claims credible and accountable, which if you're listening and you don't know, because we're in the business of trying to make a legally defined vegan claim and standard. Right now, if you know anything about veganism, you think you know what it means. But the reality is it's the Wild West, and vegan is not defined, and neither is a standard. So vegan claims on packaging without certification and without verification, you don't really know what it means. It's vegan by that person's standards. But when you get a certification mark, it's vegan by a set out standard that is becoming more global and more legal as we move forward, like organic was 10 years ago, like gluten-free is now, and these things are a process. So I see, and I want to bring up quickly, on your label now, you currently have Plant-Based Food Association. And you still decided to get the vegan certification mark in addition to that, which is smart, because I know, as an expert in veganism and vegan law and vegan labeling law, that plant-based claims and certification is not the same as a vegan claim or a vegan certification, though people might think they are. And if you're not vegan, plant-based claims might be enough for you. But as a vegan, you really want to see vegan certification, not just plant-based certifications, because plant-based means it's plant-based. But what does that mean? I mean, right now, the government doesn't require you to disclose, quote, insignificant ingredients or incidental ingredients on packaging. That's considered trade secrets, and they protect the trade secrets of the company to the detriment of the consumer, and you don't really know what you're consuming in your body, which is not fair when we live in an age of information. So it's really important that you are working with a company that can give you a certification that is asking the right questions, asking about the incidental and insignificant ingredients, traveling the supply chain, checking out the package, vetting it, and knowing that the claim is accountable and credible. It's so important to a consumer. I know these things. It's an education campaign for vegans to also understand these things and understand that a vegan claim is really important, that it is credible and certified. But as a supplier, as a producer who is going to market, by the way. I see you're in HEB now stores, right?
We just rolled out recently into 85 HEBs. The largest
That's
one.
Huge.
Yeah, that has a we're in the gluten-free section of the stores. Not every store, just the largest ones. And we're adding that list. As a matter of fact, it's happening right now to our website. So if you're in the part of Texas where HEB resides, you'll know which store in your area has it.
Which is your favorite flavor, since I didn't get to taste any today?
Well, you'll probably get them today. Again, that's not me. Black pepper and sea salt, because it tastes just like regular jerky, but people are like, well, it's a lot more tender. I'm like, because you're eating plants and not fibrous muscle. So it is tender. And the neat thing is all the different flavors make really great additions to a lot of recipes to replace meat or another meat replacement, because we make ours from whole non-GMO soybeans. We don't split it with hexane or anything else. It's straight up clean soy and non-GMO.
And Courtney, what's your favorite flavor? I'm the only one here that hasn't tried it.
This is the one that I have. You can see it's already open because I was snacking on it. Yeah.
Hold it up there for a second so it's clear, because when you move it.
Yeah, so here it is. So this is the one he was talking about too. So the black pepper and sea salt. It just pairs so well, especially when you're cooking with it. This is a really good one to use. I love to break it out with popcorn. That's my preferred method. But obviously, I've sauteed up. I've put it in crazy stuff, quesadillas, on pizza. I mean, this is great because, as we all know, soy and tofu products are huge in the vegan diet. But this is a game changer because it's got such a chewy, nice kind of meaty texture, if you will. But yeah, like you said, the Rowdy Girl symbol is there. I know a lot of Jane Unchained people are familiar with Rowdy Girl. So some of the proceeds go to them, and that's really amazing. And if you go on the Instagram for All Y'all's Foods, you can see that there's a lot of amazing cow facts about the lovely cows on the Rowdy Girl Sanctuary.
I saw that last night. Yeah, the cow facts. Yeah, it's a nice system that you guys going on Instagram. Yeah, so follow them.
It's Rowdy Girl, so it's really special.
And we're coming to an end here, so we're running out of time. But Brett, what made you go vegan?
I realized I loved all animals like I love my dog, and it wasn't a decision. It just hit me, and there was no turning back. And
there's no turning back. So do you feel like being vegan and having a vegan diet is a sacrifice to your taste buds?
Not whatsoever.
Not if your diet is all jerky.
I'm filled with more peace than I've ever known.
Yeah. Great.
It's true.
Well, I can't wait to try it. I can't wait for it to come in the mail. And, again, congratulations on getting the certification by BeVeg. And your certification fee went to Jane Unchained News Network, so we can continue covering and reporting on all the laws that matter. And I just want to bring up, if anyone's watching and you have a vegan product and you want to make it official, it's in the link. I'm going to post it here. I should have done it ahead of time. Here, let me do it now. Here is Jane's link. Let me do this. Give me 1 second. Should have done this ahead of time. This is my fault. Here we go. It's in comments. There. That is Jane's. Oh no, it didn't go through. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix this later. There's a link that you can use if you have a vegan product and you want to make your claim official and you want to go through the law firm that is the only law firm in the world that is certifying vegan and have a law firm issued global vegan symbol, and know that your profits or that your proceeds to get certified are going to go to Jane Unchained so we can continue covering the laws that matter. Use that link. That link is also on the top of Jane Unchained website, right at the top. It's the gold vegan certification symbol, like what's on the screen here. You can click that. That is her link. She'll get the money. So let's continue to support each other and businesses. We've had a really great show. I mean, we had Ken Spector with Happy Cow talking about the businesses we need to support each other in veganism and the restaurants. We've had Connie Spence with us, who is co-founder of the Vegan Justice League, who got coronavirus, which is so unfair, but she held her own throughout the whole show and gave us great insight on all the issues. We've had Courtney Garza, who's editor-in-chief of VegWorld Magazine, help us break down all this VegWorld news, which is now mainstream. And we've had Brett Christoffel to is a great guest that I can't wait to taste. It's Y'all Foods vegan jerky. I've never had real beef jerky because I was born and raised vegan, but I cannot wait to try this vegan jerky, which is supposed to be in the mail today. So thanks for joining us, and we will be back for The Laws That Matter next week on Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard